Delicious.
Wow. Now, we have a bunch of these other theories. I'm not going to go through all of them, but maybe if you're watching right now, Citizen Detectives, you can do a screenshot and see what else we've been talking about. But I guess another one I wanted to talk about was this golden hue of delusion, right? They've been talking about this warm glow that everything's set in, and people were thinking, oh, is the camp not really even like this at all? Are we going to see it sometime that it's like, a lot worse, that their huts are nothing, that they have no food, they have no ducks? I don't know if that's the case. I'm starting to think that maybe it is real to a certain extent, because like we were talking about earlier, we're going to split off into these two camps. I mean, part of the synopsis for the next episode reads as follows. With a possible escape from their nightmare, the Yellowjackets learn not everyone may be in a rush to leave.
Well, we already see that.
Right. And I think that by showing that this village is in pretty good shape, and that Ty and Van have already said we're prepared for the winter with furs, food, and fun huts, maybe that's building an argument for why some people might choose to stay. In addition to the fact that they have a lot to answer for, right? We know Van wants to go home. She mentions this in the last scene as well. Again, we know that Natalie wants to go home, but Natalie does have some things to answer for. Still, she's way more, I think, bold and courageous. She probably would face it.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe Shauna isn't. But Shauna, her motivations might be even more so that she's into the excitement out there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
The title of the next episode is A Normal, Boring Life. So don't you think some of them just don't want to go back to the normal, boring life? This is where they can all be free. This is where Misty actually has relationships with people. Now, she's done some bad things too, right? She broke the emergency responder. She's maybe partially responsible for the Crystal death, even though nobody knows about these things. Still, if they're rescued, these things might come into play and she might have to answer for them, right? So we've got Shauna, we've got Lottie now, who's done some crazy stuff, and clearly she's happy with where she is. I often think that her intentional community was a way for her to recreate the wilderness in her adult life, right? Yeah. So I do think we're going to see this. We're going to see these people that don't want to return, and partially it's because what they've created is okay. All right. Now, another one of these things I wanted to talk about was the cabin fire, right? Okay. So one of the theories we had was that Van was the fire starter of the cabin fire, or that maybe she's covering for other Ty who maybe had done it, right? She saw her do it, and, they're like the dynamic duo. They want to stick together. Of course, there's always the potential that Coach Ben did it. I mean, that was the original theory. And I actually have some insight on that because I watched an interview with Steven Krueger, following last week's episode, because obviously everybody was really impressed with his work and he got a lot of press.
Right.
And of course, it was a huge character death.
Oh, I know.
But he said that, actually, the interviewer asked him who set the cabin fire. And he said, well, I don't think it really even matters at this point, which is kind of the way I've been feeling too. Like, out of all the mysteries and all the things that we're still wondering about, that's something that in a way I don't even really need to know. But the interviewer pressed him more and said, do you think you did it? Like, in preparing for the role, do you think that you start the cabin fire? And so he says, well, okay, for what it's worth, yes, I think I started the cabin fire.
Oh, wow. That's
Isn't that interesting?
Well, that's weird, but I guess he still wouldn't know because they're not going to.
I don't think they're going to.
If they don't revisit that storyline, then you're never going to know.
Right. Like, he also mentioned, though, that obviously it's very possible. Here they are in a wooden cabin. They've got this blazing fire, perhaps just, one.
Yeah, but who locked them in?
That's right.
It could possibly be Cody.
Right.
So it'd be very.
He doesn't want all these girls in on his territory.
Now we're going to know more next episode, obviously, if he's around or not around. But that would be my kind of bet. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe this makes sense.
Now, Doug, you were scouting around for more information on Steven Krueger, correct?
I was.
Yes, this is for our Untying the Knot segment this week. In this segment, we take deep dives into a specific production aspect of the show, or perhaps provide a bio of a fan-fave cast member. And oh my gosh, he is a fan-fave for sure.
Now, as a food pairing, I have something for us that was prepared earlier.
Oh.
It was just flown in from the wilderness. And listen, I don't expect you to chew on the bone like Lottie did.
Oh, Okay. I mean, listen, we snacked on Jackie after season 2, this big season 2.
Well, we had Jackie Jerky that time. Delicious.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, you can buy it at your local supermarket. Jackie Jerky.
Steven tastes better than I thought. Wow.
Wow.
I can see why Lottie looks so chipper.
I mean, she started singing after she was eating him.
All right, so tell me about Steven Krueger.
All right, let me give you a little deep dive on him. I think he appears to be kind of a very private person. There's not a lot of information on him available, but I did actually listen to a podcast that he did with a gentleman. It was about an hour long. So some interesting facts about him, which, I mean, some of you guys might know too. He's born in 1989, so, he's not...
Oh my gosh, he's a kid!
He's a kid, but, I mean, he's not, born in 1995. But he's actually been, a working actor since about 2009.
Wow. Close.
He was raised in Sarasota, Florida. His father was an airline pilot.
Oh my gosh.
For a commercial airline. I guess I think he said it was kind of a smaller airline.
Oh wow.
That I found kind of interesting with the tie-in with Yellowjackets, because I kept thinking, I wondered how he felt doing that. His mother was an esthetician, and sadly she passed. One of the things he was involved in when he was young was he was into high school drama.
Okay.
And then he left that for a while to pursue a career to become a lawyer. So he went to college to become a lawyer, and then I think he took an internship in Los Angeles, a law internship. And I guess in that period, he decided, well, he's here in Los Angeles, maybe he should, give it a crack.
I mean, he certainly has the looks.
Yeah.
He has the innate actor looks.
Yeah, he sure does.
Hey, yeah. More Coach Ben? I'll take it.
I think I dropped Coach Ben on the ground. He's a very intelligent guy. You can just tell. He said that while he was doing his acting auditions, one of the things that he did to support himself, which he found useful, was he would tutor people on taking their LSAT tests.
To pass the bar?
Yeah, to pass the bar. So that was something he did to supplement his income, rather than doing, say, a bar gig or something where, let's say you had to work till 2 a.m. and then you had to go do an audition. So he could prepare properly.
So he's more highbrow, maybe.
Yeah, he's definitely more highbrow. He actually currently lives in Nashville, though.
Oh,
so
wow.
He moved there a year ago. He does live with his girlfriend, and the girlfriend has a couple of kids from a previous relationship. And his girlfriend is Candace King, who he was starring with, I guess, in the originals, and she was in The Vampire Diaries.
Oh, okay.
So,
did you know, in that interview that I saw with Steven Krueger, he mentions that he had previously worked with Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson, and they were writers on the originals,
right?
Which is why they kind of had him in mind for
right.
Yellowjackets.
They said that he worked with them for 3 seasons, and then they left, and he said he was kind of a little bit freaked out about that.
Okay.
But then they kind of said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll work together in the future on something." Now, his character in the originals, I've never seen it, but the character was named Josh, and he was a gay character, and I guess it did get a lot of attention at the time. But he was also in.
I read that he was on for 46 episodes. That's huge.
That was his biggest thing. Now, I think he got his real big break on Pretty Little Liars, which...
Oh.
Weren't you on that once?
I worked on this.
Oh, okay. All right.
couple times. I don't think he was there on the days that I worked, though. I don't think.
All right. Well, so he was in that, and then he was also in this show called Workaholics, which I thought you...
Oh. Worked on this.
Yeah, I have no idea what that show is about.
Oh, that was such a goofy show. I did a couple episodes of that. It's a group of, I think they were a group of comedians, and they had these just really ridiculous storylines each episode. What's funny is that he actually also worked on a show with Joel McHale.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Cody.
Yeah, with the guy who plays Cody. This is just one episode, I think, of a series called Ryan Hansen Solves Crimes on Television. Haven't seen that either, but I did see some screenshots. It looked like it's probably a comedic series. So they worked together on that show, but obviously they never actually really got a chance to work on Yellowjackets together.
Well, I found also he did a few other movies. This was what I found a little weird. Okay. So he did this movie in 2016 called Satanic. His character's name was David.
Okay.
Then there was this other movie, I think it's called God's Chapter, and he played David's son, okay, like
Okay.
Davidson.
Uh-huh.
But of course, the only other thing that you and I have seen him in, which was kind of a fluke, is he did this Lifetime movie called A Surrogate's Nightmare, where he plays the character David. It was kind of random, actually, the way that I saw it, because I was speaking to my good friend who had mentioned that another acquaintance who is related to her had actually written this Lifetime movie. So she said, "Oh, we've had a really good time watching it. It was really funny because it's so ridiculous."
Yeah.
The Surrogate's Nightmare.
Surrogate's Nightmare.
So we ended up like you can watch it on Roku. We
Yeah.
just watched it on Roku.
We watched it. I have to say, in the pantheon of Lifetime movies, it may not even be ridiculous enough.
Yeah.
Certainly it has elements of other Lifetime movies. It's usually a story about a woman struggling with something that is very out of the ordinary in someone's life, maybe stalker, whatever. And in this case, that's in there.
It was a little creepy. We
don't want to ruin the plot for you.
Yeah, we don't have to get into the whole thing. It was a little creepy, but definitely it was like from 2017, and he looks
super, like a baby.
Yeah, super baby face. And then I kept thinking on it, going like, is he really supposed to be like this grown up in this?
Yeah,
you know,
he's like a businessman who gets a really great offer to move to like Shanghai or something like that.
Beijing.
It just seems too young for such things.
So that was fun to watch, and we had a good laugh. But I'd say my only critique on that one was, God, those Lifetime movies, they wrap up real fast.
They sure do.
You're like, oh, we get to the plot.
And they don't even, some of the
Finishing
plot
and-
points they could just completely ignore.
Yeah, then it's just like, all right, well, and then they roll the credits. But anyway, so that was...
Because they want to just lead you into the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's when the credits go really, really, really fast and then just go right into the next movie.
Now, in the podcast that I was listening to, he did not give away anything about the current season. And it was done at the beginning of this season. But he's working on a short film, which he's directed and produced. So he said he's kind of going into that direction. And that's something he's trying to really learn about.
Cool.
So I thought that's interesting. And, I hope
In
good luck to him.
In the interview that I saw, which was after, his character's death on Yellowjackets, he talks about how Ashley and Bart had definitely let him know at the beginning of season 3 that this would be Coach Ben's last season. I think they had kind of said that maybe even earlier on. And Steven said, oh gosh, I just hope that like my death means something or is cool. And let's be honest, clearly his death has meant something huge. And then the other thing he said was that because he's friendly with Ashley and Bart, they let him see the scripts for the rest of the season. And so he sort of hinted at that there's going to be a lot of great things just still all throughout the second half of the season. I think we saw a lot of that in this episode.
Oh, we sure did.
This week.
Oh, boy, we did.
Well, thank you for that little deep dive on Steven Krueger. Again, we've really appreciated your performance, and I think the critics are appreciating it as well. I even hear that there's been some little talk of like maybe getting some Emmy nominations for Mr. Krueger and also for Miss Thatcher for their work in the last episode. So we hope that's the case. So
That would be great.
Good work, everybody. Good work.
I forgot to tell you one thing about Steven Krueger
Okay.
that we have in common. One of his favorite foods is pizza.
That's like just like us.
Yeah,
Yes.
just like us.
I'm
I love
hungry.
pizza.
Yeah, sorry, Coach Ben, but that spare rib wasn't enough for me.
No, I know. I need a pizza.
You got anything stuck in your teeth after that?
A little bit.
Misty and I went halfsies on some floss picks. So,
Oh, yeah. I would love one.